My sister intentionally invited me to her engagement celebration just to gesture toward the back and declare that only immediate family would sit at the front. She told me to take a seat in the corner. My mother let out a soft laugh. "It's for the best," she said. I just gave a small smile. They had no idea the venue was reserved with my credit card, and in 10 minutes every light would go out. I hadn't expected the invitation to be a setup to shame me. Not in front of friends, relatives, and family. I'm not even married yet. Her whole speech about honoring tradition felt hollow from the start. But Ava always had a knack for turning attention into a tool for harm. It was meant to be her engagement dinner. Just a simple gathering, she wrote in the invite, as if it were a casual affair. The venue was high-end. The dress code was elegant cocktail attire, and the guest list was enormous. She sent invitations in luxurious white boxes as if they held engagement rings. I didn't think much of it, not until I arrived and saw what this evening was truly about. The first warning sign should have been the missing seating chart. When I walked in, I had to ask a staff member where to sit, and she pointed me to a corner table. I thought it might be a mistake. After all, I'd helped fund this event. My father had quietly asked me to cover the costs, saying Ava wanted something grand but couldn't afford it. He promised to repay me soon. I didn't protest. I paid the $8,000, secured the venue, selected the menu and drinks, and coordinated the schedule. Ava had no clue I was involved. As far as she knew, it was all her and our parents' doing. My mother wouldn't have let me take any credit anyway. Guests began arriving. Champagne flutes clinked. Ava glided through the crowd in a white gown that cost more than my monthly rent. Her fiancé seemed overwhelmed. I saw cousins, college friends, even our old neighbor from down the street. Then Ava took the microphone, tapping it like she was hosting a gala. She gave a brief speech about her gratitude, thanked our mother, embraced our father, then paused. "Just a quick note before we begin," she said, motioning to the ornate central table. "These seats are for immediate family." A murmur spread through the room as if people were unsure what she meant. Then she clarified. "That means my parents, his parents, aunts, and uncles. Everyone else can find a seat at the lounge or side tables." She added, smiling at me in front of 70 guests, "Oh, and Grace, we've reserved a nice little spot for you in the corner." All eyes turned to me. I glanced at the card on the small table by the hallway. It read Grace next to the "Please wait to be seated" sign. I heard my mother's quiet chuckle, followed by her loud whisper, "This is better." I didn't react, just smiled because they didn't know what I knew. The venue was booked under my name. The payment was on my card. The manager knew me, not Ava. The catering, drinks, music, lighting, everything was tied to my account, and I'd already canceled it all. 10 minutes after her announcement, the entire rooftop would go dark. No food, no lights, no music. The staff would stop serving. The kitchen would halt. One tap on the app would end every active order and shut it down. I didn't need to say anything. I just sat in the corner and waited. The lights didn't dim gradually. That's what made it worse. They cut off abruptly, completely. Every bulb above, every string light along the railings, every candle on the tables, gone. Even the DJ setup stopped mid-song. One moment, Ava's party glowed like a dream. The next, it was just shocked faces in the dark. At first, people laughed nervously, pulling out their phones to illuminate their tables. Someone said, "Maybe it's part of the plan." Another suggested, "This must be a surprise." I stayed in the corner with a clear view of the chaos. Ava stood frozen by the microphone, her hand still raised from her speech. Her fiancé, Jackson, looked at her puzzled, then at the DJ, who was unplugging equipment. Whispers began. No plates had been served. Drinks stopped coming. Waiters vanished. Guests checked their watches. The murmurs grew as people realized this wasn't a performance. My phone buzzed in my purse. A text from the event manager. "Services halted. Cancellation confirmed." That's when the mood shifted. My father figured it out first. He spoke briefly with the manager, then turned toward me. He didn't approach right away, just stood there, processing before slowly walking to my table. "You really did it," he said. I nodded. He glanced at the guests, then back at me. "I told you I'd pay you back. You said she wouldn't know you paid. You said you just wanted her to feel special." "Not to use it as a stage to humiliate me in front of everyone," I replied. He didn't argue, just rubbed his neck, watching the chaos unfold. Ava's voice grew louder. She was arguing with the manager, saying things like, "This is outrageous. You're ruining the most important night of my life." The manager calmly explained that the cardholder had canceled the services, and there was nothing they could do. That's when Ava looked at me. She didn't blink, just stared as if she couldn't process it. Then she started walking toward me. She didn't get far. Our mother grabbed her arm, whispering something, probably trying to calm her or maybe wondering how she hadn't known I was in control. Guests began leaving. Some whispered, glancing at Ava with pity. One aunt gave her an awkward hug and said something kind before heading to the elevator. Jackson passed by my table on his way to the bar, which was no longer serving. "You really shut it down?" he asked. "She told me to sit in the corner," I said. He nodded slowly and walked away. I think he knew it wasn't my fault. As I stood to leave, my father tried to stop me. "I didn't want it to end like this," he said. "Neither did I replied. "But she chose this when she took the mic." I didn't look back, not at the darkened venue, not at Ava in her pricey dress, not at the untouched cake. The elevator doors opened, and I left her fairy tale behind. Ava didn't reach out. No calls, no texts, no half-hearted apology flowers, nothing. The only person who contacted me was my father 2 days later with a voicemail. I didn't pick up. In the message, he sounded weary older. He apologized again, said he hadn't expected Ava to pull that stunt, to put me on display like an unwanted guest. He felt guilty for asking me to pay and for letting me leave alone. I didn't call back immediately. A week passed and I stayed silent. I went to work, hit the gym, slept better than I had in years. Something inside me had changed. I was done pretending we were a family that cared when the truth was so different. Then Ava posted online a curated set of photos from the engagement dinner, the few good ones taken before the lights went out. Pictures of her and Jackson with champagne, a close-up of her ring, a dramatic black and white shot of her gazing into the distance. The caption was bold, "Engaged to my forever. A night I'll always cherish." No mention of the blackout, the uneaten food, or me, but the comments told another story. A cousin asked about the power outage. Another wrote, "Looked stunning, but we didn't eat." Someone else commented, "Wasn't this the event that got canceled halfway?" Ava ignored them, trying to reshape the narrative into something perfect. What made me laugh was that she didn't know about the gift I'd planned to give her. I'd chosen it myself, a delicate gold bracelet engraved with her initials and the engagement date. Subtle, elegant, $1,800. I'd bought it thinking maybe we were turning a corner. It sat in its box in my closet for over a week after the dinner. I looked at it once, then closed it. 2 weeks later, I took it to a resale shop downtown. They offered $1,200 cash. I took it without hesitation. Ava never knew it existed. A friend who helped me pick it out asked how Ava liked it. I told her I gave it to someone who deserved it more. She laughed and said, "Ava's always had that royal attitude." Then came my mother's message. One line, "You shamed us all." No context, no concern for me, just that. It was almost funny how predictable she was. A mutual friend later told me Ava was still fuming, telling anyone who'd listened that I'd sabotaged her big night out of jealousy and spite. The friend also mentioned Ava was planning something, a comeback, whatever that meant. I wasn't worried. Ava thrived on appearances, on controlling the story, on punishing those who didn't follow her script. But I was done playing her game. I wasn't going to fund her life anymore or pretend she deserved what she hadn't earned. I was finished being the dependable sister who pays, stays quiet, and accepts being an afterthought. Whatever she was scheming, it didn't matter. I'd already left her stage. I didn't think she had the cunning to plan revenge. But I underestimated how much Ava needed to have the final word, even if she had to invent it. It started with a link a friend sent me. "Is this about you?" The website was called sisterslegacy.com. I stared at the name, thinking it was a parody, but no. Ava was on the home page, softly lit, hair flowing, holding flowers like she was accepting an award. The post was titled, "What do you do when the person you trusted most extinguishes your joy?" The opening paragraph made me laugh and feel sick at once. She painted herself as the victim of a betrayal plot, claiming someone had sabotaged her special night from within. She wrote about disloyalty, calling me a traitor in sister's clothing without naming me. Anyone who knew us could connect the dots. She described me as her single, resentful older sister, unsupportive, manipulative. She turned reality into a soap opera. The comments were worse, strangers cheering her strength, sharing their own family dramas. One woman wrote, "Cut her out before your wedding, she's toxic." Then I saw a comment that hit harder. "Her own mother let her do this? I'd disown my daughter for that." It was from @Blooming Petals, my mother's gardening profile, complete with her usual bio and photo. She didn't even hide it. That's when I realized they weren't just letting Ava run wild, they were cheering her on. Then came the second shock. My bank flagged 2 declined charges on the card I'd used for the dinner. Both were from the same venue, each for thousands. I called the venue. Ava had tried to rebook the rooftop for another engagement party using my card without permission. I was floored. I hadn't shared the card details, but the invoice had gone to me, my father, and the manager. It wasn't my father. He looked drained after the dinner. The manager was trustworthy. That left Ava. She'd taken the card info from the invoice and tried to use it as if it were hers. I filed a fraud report immediately. The bank froze the card. I wasn't even mad, just intrigued by her audacity. I didn't yell or confront her. I sent one message. Try that again and I go public with receipts, texts, everything. Want to talk betrayal? Try fraud. She didn't reply, but the blog vanished the next day, post, site, everything. Then just when I thought her drama was over, Jackson texted me. I didn't know about the card, she didn't tell me. Sorry. No frills, just a quiet admission that even he was in the dark. For the first time, I felt something shift, not anger, not triumph, just understanding. This wasn't about a dinner, a seating chart, or a blog. This was Ava being Ava, and the consequences were just starting. For a month, it was quiet. No calls, no posts, no more card attempts. Ava went silent, maybe realizing she'd gone too far. I stayed silent too, blocking her everywhere. I wasn't angry anymore, I just didn't care. I lived my life, worked late, took weekend trips, booked a solo spa getaway in Sedona, and told no one. I breathed freely, no longer feeling like I was under scrutiny by a family that saw love as obligation and silence. But drama always finds a way back. It started with my mother. She called on a random Tuesday. I didn't answer. Her voicemail said we needed to talk, that Ava was struggling, that this can't go on forever. I listened while sipping coffee. She never said I was right or asked how I was, just wanted me to fix Ava's mess. Then my father showed up at my apartment, unannounced, which he never does. He wasn't there to defend Ava. He sat down, looked around, and asked if I was still upset with him. I said no, but I was disappointed and exhausted. It wasn't about the money. It was about years of being the fallback while Ava got away with being cruel and manipulative, with no one calling her out. He listened, then shared something unexpected. She's pregnant. I didn't react immediately, thinking it might be a guilt trip, but it was true. She told us last week, he said. Didn't want to announce until after 8 weeks. Jackson was stunned. I don't think he was ready. His tone wasn't celebratory, it was heavy. They're struggling, he added. She's paranoid, moody, he's quiet. I shrugged. Not my concern. Then he handed me an envelope with Ava's handwriting. Inside was a note and a check. The note was brief. I know I crossed a line. I didn't mean to hurt you. I don't expect forgiveness, but I don't want to owe you. The check was for $8,000, the exact amount I'd paid for the dinner. I stared at it not because I was unsure, but because I knew what this was. She was trying to buy peace, to erase her actions without fixing anything. Ava didn't apologize. She paid people off and expected them to forget. I gave the check back to my father. She can keep it, I said. It's not enough. He didn't argue, just tucked the envelope away and left. 3 days later, an invitation arrived, not an email, but a physical card. A baby shower for Ava, hosted by my parents. It was pastel pink with gold stars, noting a registry and welcoming gifts. I laughed so hard I nearly spilled my tea. That's when I decided what to do. I didn't RSVP or contact Ava. But I went to the shower, not for closure or care, but because I wanted her to see me, unbothered, in control, with a gift she'd never forget. The shower was at the country club, naturally, the same place Ava once called tacky. Now she posed by a balloon arch and a giant stork cutout. Everything was pink, cake, drinks, napkins. My mother was the star host, acting like it was her moment. My father sat quietly, pretending to check his phone. I walked in with a plain brown box, no bows, no frills, just tape. Heads turned, conversations paused briefly. Only one cousin greeted me, whispering, "You're bold for showing up." I didn't respond. I wasn't there for courage, I was there to leave a mark. Ava saw me and her smile faltered for a split second before she recovered. She gave a half-hearted wave. I returned it with equal indifference. During the gift opening, she sat in a cushioned chair like royalty. She unwrapped onesies, diaper bags, bottles. Everyone cooed. My mother described each gift like she'd designed it. Then she reached mine. She paused, reading the label, Ava in plain ink. Someone nearby chuckled nervously. She opened the box carefully, lifted the tissue, and stopped. Inside was a single hardcover book, How to Avoid Foolish Mistakes, Lessons You Didn't Learn the First Time. The room went silent, no laughs, no coughs, just the weight of truth in a space built on pretense. Ava stared at the book, flipped it over, looking for a note. There wasn't one. She looked at me. I smiled, not smug, not cruel, just calm, the kind that says, "You brought this on yourself." She put the book back and moved on, but her hands trembled. I saw it. I didn't stay long, saying a quick goodbye to my father, ignoring my mother, and leaving before the game started. I heard they played trivia about Ava's cravings, fitting for someone who craves control and attention. I didn't send anything when the baby was born, no flowers, no card. Instead, a month later, I mailed a small package with no return address. Inside was a onesie saying, "My aunt doesn't babysit, she watches," and a parenting book. Fix yourself before raising others. Ava never acknowledged it, but I know she received it. She posted a vague story later. Some people think they're clever. She's still pretending she's unfazed. I'm not pretending anything. I don't hate her. I'm not angry. But I'm done with her world. I've stopped funding, apologizing, or pretending it's normal to be the family's emotional punching bag. My parents keep trying. My mother left a voicemail asking to start over for the baby's sake. My father sent a photo of the baby, saying, "She has your eyes." She doesn't, and I'm not interested in restarting with people who betray me then act surprised when I walk away. I don't show up anymore, but occasionally I send something, not out of malice, just a reminder. This Christmas, Ava will get a framed quote. Some lessons come quietly, others in plain boxes. It's been 6 months since the baby was born. I haven't seen her, haven't asked, haven't received photos except in group chats. Things were quiet. No blogs, no card fraud, no fake apologies from my mother. Until last week when I found a thick envelope on my doorstep. No stamps, just my name in Ava's slightly sloppy handwriting. I didn't open it immediately. I cooked dinner, poured wine, and waited. Inside were 3 items. First, a photo, not of the baby or Ava and Jackson, but of a man at a cafe with a toddler on his lap. His face seemed familiar, but I couldn't place it. On the back, in Ava's handwriting, "Thought you'd want to see him. Took me a while to track him down." Second, a crumpled note from my college journal mentioning a guy I briefly dated who ghosted me. Third, a DNA test kit with a sticky note. "She doesn't look like Jackson. I don't think he knows." That's when it hit me. This wasn't a prank or drama for attention. Ava had found something, or suspected it, and was pulling me into it, not for help, but for leverage or chaos. Or maybe because I'm the only one who wouldn't pretend not to see the truth. The man wasn't Jackson. The implication was clear. Ava might have lied to her fiancé or even to herself. Now she wanted me to hold this secret, maybe to use later. I put everything back in the envelope. I haven't decided what to do. But one thing's certain, Ava's world is fracturing, and this time I'm not leaving, I'm watching.